Hello, beautiful, sensitive souls. Welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and just surviving in a world that's too big, too fast, too loud, too much, to a place of calm and actually thriving as highly sensing people. I'm your host and sensory coach, Tammy Goen, and as always, I'm so glad that you're here with me. Today, we are continuing the conversation about relationships, and specifically today, relationships with ourselves. So as I like to do, I found a quote that I really enjoy. And so if you are able to do this, you can sit quietly, take a nice deep breath, close down your eyes, or just soften them. Let this sink in, see how this resonates with you. This is a quote from Mandy Hale. To be honest, I don't know who that is, but I love this quote. When you are your own best friend, you don't endlessly seek out relationships, friendships, and validation from the wrong sources because you realize that the only approval and validation you need is your own. So I couldn't have said something any better than that. I like that quote. I'm glad that I found it. So just think about what that means for you, how that resonates. How would you describe your relationship with yourself? Do you see yourself as your own best friend? Do you find yourself putting yourself down and complaining and really not thinking that you're a good person or as good as you need to be or could be, and wishing that you didn't have to spend time with yourself? I know some people that really have a hard time spending any amount of time with themselves because they have to be with themselves. There's no distraction and something to take away from that experience of just being themselves. But it's so, so important to have that strong relationship. So we're going to talk about that today. And we tend to, everyone does this, make comparisons between ourselves and others, especially as we're growing up. That's, a pretty common thing to have going on. And for highly sensing people, that's even more likely or more intense for us to want to do that. We have all these expectations of how we should be and not wanting to disappoint anyone and wanting everyone to be happy with us, wanting to be perfect. All of those things can factor into this need to compare ourselves with others. And typically, we tend to fall short if we are perfectionistic and we think we need to be up here and we're not quite there, then we're going to fall short on that comparison. But it's really helpful to remember, excuse me, everyone is different. Everyone has different strengths and skills, different needs, different things that work for them, that resonate for them. And those are just differences. We can look at everything happening in the world right now and see that differences can be celebrated, but quite often, as we're experiencing, they can be sources of conflict because differences are seen as less than or not okay if they're not equal. So within ourselves, if we have this expectation of who we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be, what our behaviors are, then we're falling short if we're not exactly that way. We're in that perfect place when whatever that perfection is, and I've talked about this a little bit in the past. If we're trying to be perfect, what is perfect? Perfect is very subjective anyway. And it's sort of like following the shoulds. We can never really quite get there because we can always be readjusting that. So if you say, well, this is my level of perfection, and then you match that, there's still that likelihood, that ability to say, yeah, but I could be even better, or I could do this differently, or still comparing ourselves with others and saying, oh, I thought that was perfect, but these people are doing this over here and I'm not there. So I'm falling short again. So getting rid of that idea of needing to be perfect does help anyway. And that's oftentimes a long journey for highly sensitives to be able to let go of that need to be perfect. But if we can acknowledge that everyone has differences, we are different from everyone in so many different ways, and we have a lot of similarities, we can recognize those, but recognizing that those differences are really just that they're differences, they're not deficits, they're not something that's wrong. And then that allows things to flow much more smoothly because we can be okay with who we are, even if we're different. And, for so many years before I was aware of the high sensitivity trait, I was in this place comparing myself all the time. I was always comparing myself with everyone else. And since I felt so different as a highly sensing person, as a very, very small person that wasn't average, by stature, there were so many different reasons that I felt very different from everyone. And to me, that set me aside as less than, not okay, not up to snuff, if you will, with everything that I saw going on around me, or what people were like around me, and those who were the most popular that I didn't like doing the things that they were doing, or didn't like some of their behaviors, but it was seen as acceptable and the norm. And I felt very different from that. So again, I still compared myself and felt wrong, different, sometimes bad, sometimes like, what am I missing? There's something that I'm not getting that would make me more special, better, more average, more accepted. So I do know what that experience is like. And that's one of the big things that really shifted for me when I discovered the trait of high sensitivity. I could reframe a bunch of that when I recognized that, oh, I am different in a good way, and look at all of these ways that this difference actually helps me and other people. So reframing all of those things was really, really impactful. But we have to be able to do that, to let go of that need to be just like everyone else. So here's something that I always work with clients on that I think is helpful for anyone who is struggling with this issue. If you think about whatever that you're having issues with, whether it's feeling like you need to be different, or you're working on something and you just don't think you're doing it well enough, you're just finding that you're hard on yourself, second guessing and hard on yourself. So if you shift things to like a 180-degree angle viewpoint to someone, a friend of yours, that's looking at you from the outside, from their perspective, and ask, what would my friend say about me in this situation, about this issue, about my performance, whatever it is that's a struggle right now? What would that friend say about you? And most likely it's not going to be as negative or deprecating or any of those negative terms about you and your behavior or who you are as a person, not nearly as heavy and negative as you say to yourself from yourself, right? Your friend is going to be, not just because they love and like you, but they have a different perspective, right? You can think of that with anyone else who knows you just a little bit. Oh, I wonder what this person thinks about me. What do I portray to that person? And that's not as helpful sometimes as someone that really, really knows you, but there's also less of that bias that you can kind of read into. It's like, well, yeah, but that's my friend. So, he or she's going to say only really nice things about me. But the reality is, if we really ask a person, what do you think about me doing this? Or what do you think about my trait of this, or my tendency to do this? And you'll probably hear some pretty insightful, maybe surprisingly positive responses that you wouldn't come up with yourself. So that's one way of looking at a situation. And when you catch yourself really being hard on yourself and not loving yourself for who you are in that moment, asking, okay, what would somebody else say in this situation? And then allowing yourself to take that in without those yeah buts or anything that removes the value of that, discounts that at all. And then another way of doing that, another flip of that, a little reversal, is what would you say to a friend or someone that you know well, maybe a family member, who is in the same situation that you are? What advice would you give them, or what feedback would you give them about the same situation? Would you, again, be as hard on that person as you would on yourself? Likely not. Usually we're much more neutral, much more detached from the outcome, from what we're thinking and our expectations when we're dealing with someone else than we are for ourselves. So those are two ways to shift that relationship with yourself in the moment when you're having that struggle of discounting or just being so hard on yourself and expecting way too much, feeling less than, separate from, somehow wrong, use those tools to say, how would I say that about somebody else, or what would that person say about me, and how can I compare that with what I'm doing to myself? Where can I let go of some of those things, because I wouldn't do that for somebody else. So hopefully that will help you to just kind of reframe some of the ways that you're looking at things about yourself. So here's another thing that is really challenging for most people in general, but again, especially for highly sensing people, is this idea of being able to celebrate ourselves. And usually the first thing, if I say, oh, well, so how do you celebrate yourself? As a highly sensing person, maybe the first thing would be, oh, I don't have time for that. I celebrate everybody else. And I don't think about myself until, maybe never, but once everyone else has gotten the spotlight, right? But sometimes it's a matter of thinking, believing, which is certainly part of our programming in our childhood, first 7 years especially, but then going forward, we continue to see this even as adults in society, that if we are sharing, celebrating, talking about anything amazing about us or that we've done, that is arrogant and bragging, right? If we go on about something that we just did and we're so excited about it, then others are going to think, oh, I'm just bragging and I'm just an arrogant brat or whatever. But the reality is we have to be able to celebrate what we do, who we are, how we respond to things, so that we can do more of those. And that helps everyone, right? If we have certain traits, certain skills, certain abilities to perform or to provide something, even if that's in a friendship or a hug to someone, whatever it is that we offer, we can only do that to the maximum ability if we're okay with acknowledging that we're good at those things. And we can celebrate them. And then we get in that place where we're like, oh yeah, I can honor this, accept this in myself, and share it with everyone else. And then it amplifies. But if we sit back and go, no, I'm not really great. I don't really want to put that out there and have someone think that I'm bragging or arrogant. But we really do need to be able to celebrate ourselves, our accomplishments, what we're good at, all of those things that we would be more than glad to do for other people. You probably really have no issue saying, oh yeah, let me tell you some good things about you. Let me tell you what I really appreciate about what you just did, or what I think you did such a good job about. We have usually, if we have a good relationship with someone, we don't have any problem doing that, giving them that feedback. But when we turn that toward ourselves, that tends to be, I don't know, that's probably not an okay thing. We're not supposed to do that for ourselves. And that's really a tragedy. Everyone needs to be able to celebrate themselves. So consider things like, and if you run into a snag here, think about what you would suggest again to your best friend if that person was trying to celebrate themselves, right? What would you say? Oh, how about doing these things? So consider those things for yourself. You can take yourself on a date, which means you got some solo time doing something just for you without feeling like anyone else needs to be there. You can reward yourself with something once in a while that you really wanted, but remove that idea of reward for having to do something or get to a certain place first, but just say, I'm going to celebrate me by doing this thing that's really important to me. I don't have to do anything in order to deserve it, to be able to enjoy it. So just gift yourself something once in a while. Obviously, that doesn't mean moving outside of your budget and getting yourself in a bad place financially. It's not, gigantic things and all of the time. But once in a while saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to celebrate me. I'm going to say, good job, me, and do something that you've really, really been wanting to do. And having, again, that extra time to yourself, if you don't have this as part of your lifestyle practice of having that solo downtime just for you, it's a must do for highly sensitives. We do need that time. So as a way to celebrate you and take care of you, having a little bit more of that once in a while, maybe an extra hour once a week somewhere where you can just do whatever you feel like at that time. It's not scheduled as a specific activity. You just say, oh, there's my extra me time hour to say, I'm glad I'm me and I'm here. And then I feel that with whatever I want to at that point. Just having that extra time without that feeling of guilt because you're wasting time or you're spending time on yourself when you should be doing that with other people, whatever those comments are that are coming, letting go of those so that you can just say, oh, I'm going to enjoy this extra time that I have given myself because I deserve it. And if you are sharing that with other people and saying, oh, I can't do that right now because I'm doing this for myself, or sharing it just in general, like, hey, this was so cool. I took myself on a date last week and went out and saw a movie, got some snacks or dinner before or whatever. And it was so fun being able to share that without, again, feeling that you're being selfish or wasting your time when you could have been taking care of the family or doing extra work projects or whatever it is you could have been filling that time with. Being able to be okay with that and even sharing that. So here's an idea that I'll get you started on, and then you can move forward on your own. But thinking about journaling can be really, really powerful, even if you're not like a regular journaler, write every day in your journal. You don't have to do that, but a notebook, a journal, something, or just a piece of paper. So if you grab this and go ahead and do this now, if you are not working or you have a moment, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but jot down 3 things, just three things that immediately pop in your head, or take a moment to say, oh, this is new for me. What kinds of things could I come up with that you are amazing at, or that are reasons that you are amazing just as you are? And don't spend a bunch of time on it right now, but just jot those brief ideas down. 3 things that remind yourself that you are amazing. So take that moment right now. If you get stuck on this, again, think, what would my best friend tell me? What would she or he say that I'm amazing at? Or that it makes me really special? Whatever those things are, just jot those down. And then going forward, as an exercise to help you celebrate you, take these 3 things and do some journaling on them. What is it like to acknowledge that you're good at these things, or that these are reasons that you are an amazing person just as you are? What is that like to own that? Write about anything that comes up that want these feelings of like pushing that away or discounting. Oh yeah, but all of that stuff that wants to pop up, write all that down. Just write about what that experience is like. And then see if you can, if that's really a struggle for you, really start to own those things. And if you just really can't come up with anything at all, it can be helpful to actually physically reach out to your best friend and say, hey, I've been thinking about this technique I heard about, or this activity. Do you have anything that you could mention that, might be good about me? I mean, even if it's really uncomfortable, just asking one little thing from someone. If you just can't come up with anything yourself, hopefully you can. Even if you jot them down and then go, oh, yeah, but, and those start. Have those at least 3 things. If you can come up with more things, awesome. But at least those 3 things, and then just write about it, what that is like, and see if you can come to acknowledging and owning those things. So as we gain a stronger sense of ourselves and who we are as ourselves, and honoring that and celebrating that, loving ourselves, then we can start to speak our truth. So what you think, what you feel, all of the things that you're experiencing are valid and important. even as they might be very different than those in your family or in your relationships, or just those that you see around. And again, as a reminder, what we see in other people is only our viewpoint, and it's brought through our lens, and we really don't know what people are going through. So those are just assumptions. Oh, I don't compare well with these people as I see them, but remembering that might not be accurate. But just being able to be strong in who we are as highly sensing people, as anything else that is our characteristics that makes us us. And when we get to that place and say, yeah, I love myself, I know I'm important, I'm amazing, and I have all of this information, all of these skills and abilities that I can share with the world, then as you portray whatever it is you want people to know, and you come from that place, then they're going to get that. They're going to see your strength. They're going to pay more attention to what you have to say because you believe it yourself. So walking your talk, if you will, or just being able to say, oh, this is who I am. I'm going to present that, rather than from a place of, well, I don't know if anyone's going to, feel this way or not. And just being strong in that, here I am, I'm broadcasting this to the world, whether you are actually doing some kind of speaking publicly, or whether you are just talking with someone and you want to share something that you've been thinking of for a while, but you're not sure how it's going to come across. Just owning whatever it is that you are wanting to share, what you have to offer, whether it's something at work, just saying, yep, I've got this amazing thing to offer, and I'm going to come to it from that place. And then it will be received in a much better way, because you are coming from that place of confidence. So some of the stuff to pay attention to on that would be having what kind of your posture and your eye contact, and having a steady voice, and just not using any kind of detracting words. Like, I don't know how this will sit with you, or, maybe I'm way off base, but any of those detractors, just getting rid of those and just saying, this is my view, this is what I have to offer, this is what I think, and sharing that, just really, really owning it. So before I wrap up, I want to offer one more little technique, do a little visualization. So if you pick something that you are struggling with right now, that is either something that you're wanting to share, but you just haven't been able to take that step to let somebody know, or that you have, some kind of situation that is just not really going all that well, but you have an idea how to make it better, but you've been holding back, whatever it is, something where you're just not speaking your truth, or not being that strong person from inside and letting that out. So whatever that situation might be, and then go ahead and just close your eyes or soften your gaze, take a nice deep breath, and then just imagine that you're standing in front of that person that you want to share with, or maybe it's an audience of some kind, or a small group at work, whatever it is. Visualize yourself standing there in front of that person or people. And first, see and feel yourself in your place of strength. See you standing up nice and tall, your head's nice and straight, your shoulders are back, and you feel really solid in wherever you're standing or sitting, and just be able to see yourself emanating that confidence, that ability in yourself, the trust in yourself. And then as we go on, now look forward to whomever is listening to you, that one person you're going to share this idea with, or that group of people that are listening to you. And now see them taking in that information that you are sharing. See them accepting it. Maybe there's a lot of nodding. Maybe there's a lot, whatever the body language is that you see, that they're really listening, this person or this group is really listening to you, really hearing what you have to say. And notice how your body feels when you have that recognition that that person or those people are truly listening to you. And they're believing you because you believe it, and you are presenting that to them. Just see how that feels. Let that resonate in your body. And then once you have shared that information, whether it's, again, like a project at work or something that you've just been holding back and you really wanted this person to know, now come back into your body and say, how does that feel now that I finally did that? That I shared that, I got that off my chest, I asked for something, or I presented this to a group when I didn't know how that was going to go, but I've done it and it was received well. How does that feel in your body now? And this is just a visualization, but when we do this, we really can connect with our felt sense of these situations and practice them so we can use these tools repeatedly when we want to be prepared for sharing information with someone or presenting something to a group, whatever that is, where you have like some of that hesitation, or I'm not sure. You can practice it over and over just by doing that visualization, because when you do that, your body doesn't know the difference between, just like with stress response, if we're thinking about a response from before, the body doesn't know any difference between that being in the past or being in the present. So as we're practicing these things and feeling that sense of power and confidence and sharing and owning, our body picks that up and says, oh yeah, okay, I got this. I know what this is like. And we do that enough that when we actually do it, it's much more successful. And the body says, oh yeah, no, it's all good. I'm good. I like doing this, or I'm good at this, or this information I have to share is really important. So this is awesome. And we practice, and it gets to be more the reality through that practice. So hopefully those techniques from today will help you to strengthen that relationship that you have with yourself, and then be able to share that with the world, because you are amazing, highly sensing or otherwise. You are an amazing gift to the world, and it's important to share that with everyone and not feel that you're bragging or arrogant, or that no one wants to listen, whatever the things are that are holding you back. So as always, it's been lovely to have you, and thank you for joining me here on this journey toward thriving. Next week, I'll actually be continuing the focus on relationships, but I will have a special guest to talk about family relationships. So building those really strong family connections. So I'm really excited to have my friend with me next week. And I would always love to chat with you directly if you feel called to do so. So reach out to connect. All of my information is on Linktree, linktr.ee/ and my name. And I hope you have an amazing, amazing day, and I will see you next time. Thanks for being here.